Stephen Curry adjusts, puts 56 on the board and impresses everybody, but more so, that man right there, LeBron James. Never touched the rim. Curry with the three. That's a great hustle play.
But you gonna miss every shot first 3 quarters of this. Just don't miss no more. Step back threes.
20, we had to do something.
You gonna give my point guard 3 hezzies? You gonna go here, and then here again? I'm like, damn. 3 hezzies?
6 on the 24. Curry on the drive. Scoop. This is the end of that particular play. These two just talking, going back and forth. Thompson trying to pull him away. Thompson having something to say.
Stephen Curry is the best player in the NBA. That's a statement that would have me flamed in these comments, and in all honesty, it's not true. I know that there's some people who don't even have Curry on their list of top 5 active players. In fact, real quick, if you don't mind, comment down below your top 5 current NBA players and I'll give you my thoughts on it. And if you care for mine, it's also in the comment section. The league is filled with many stars, many big names and future Hall of Famers, but even with all the big names, only a few can be mentioned along with Stephen Curry when it comes to the discussion of greatness and influence that players have had on the game of basketball. And among the 2 or 3 active NBA players that have the potential to leave a Jordan-esque legacy, Steph is one of them. And what I like most about his journey is how unorthodox and unconventional he has been. This man never went by the rules. On his path of achieving greatness, he did everything his own way and it would prove to be the right way. He's just so inspirational. Known as the baby-faced assassin, his style of play made many perceive him to be soft, but he quickly became a nightmare for every team that faced him on the court. And he had many of his big brother figures, role models and mentors turn into some of his biggest rivals and haters. But that's no problem with Steph. He says that at the end of the day, he knows who he is, and that's something we can learn from him. Steph has arguably achieved all there is to achieve in this game. Something very few players can say, from MVP awards to championships to large contracts, sneaker deals and superstar status. Curry is one of those players that will continue to be talked about long after he's done with his career. The legacy he's building is not just a great one, but it's also a quiet one, and that's been the pattern in his career. The grand legacy he's building is not one which is obvious and all up in your face, like LeBron's. Early in his career, fans and other basketball players perceived him and his early accolades as good, filled with potential, but easy to kind of push off to the side. Between the ankle injuries, the struggles of the Warriors franchise and the baby face, Curry's abilities were always easy to forget, until they weren't. Today we see Steph as a 3-time NBA champion, 2-time league MVP, the face of the greatest regular season team to ever do it, and a part of the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. But the journey to this position was a long one, and no one ever expected this, even Curry. His journey began at Davidson College. Well, technically it didn't because he didn't start playing basketball at Davidson, but you get what the vibe is, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, coming out of high school, it's fair to say that Steph was overlooked. He had been seen by prominent coaches from prominent schools like Coach K from Duke and Roy Williams from the University of North Carolina, but neither of them ever recruited him or offered him. Why? Because as his dad would tell you, he didn't pass the eye test. He was small. He arrived at Davidson as a skinny 6'1" kid after a coach by the name of Bob McKillop took a chance on him. Even though this coach acknowledges Steph's shooting talent, he went on record to say that he had nothing to do with Curry's ability to shoot the basketball. And what's interesting is that what first impressed him most about Steph's game wasn't his shooting or even his dribbling. In fact, the first time he saw Steph, he recalls his performance to be awful, as he was turning the ball over, missing shot after shot, and having a hard time keeping up on defense. But it was that awful performance which showed an admirable trait that Steph had, which was how he never stopped playing and how he showed no frustration with his poor performance. It was clear he didn't fear failure, which had the coach say to himself that was a young man who transcends time and who lives in the moment. The coach took a bit of a gamble on this kid, and it would prove to pay off. And Steph saw an opportunity, and he seized it. It would be the beginning of him defying all odds. In his 3 years at Davidson, Curry went on to put the school on the college basketball map. Now, to understand just how much of an impact Steph had on this team, you must first understand a few things. Davidson College is a mid-major D1 school, not really known for basketball. In fact, when Steph Curry committed to the school, it's on record that some of his friends didn't know it. Before Steph Curry, the best player in program history was a player by the name of Fred Hetzel. Fred Hetzel. Yeah. You know it's been long since you've had a star when the Google picture of your previous star looks like a Renaissance painting. Anyway, Steph had shown a lot of potential through his first 2 years, especially his ability to shoot, which was undeniable. And if there's one thing that those around Curry say about him is how hard of a worker he is. It was clear he had been grinding because in his third season, history was about to be made by Steph as he went on to, watch this, carry the team to the NCAA tournament and had historic performance after great teams which Davidson was not expected to beat. I don't want to bore you with the stats, so I'll just put them on the screen. But just know that he was making so much noise on the college basketball scene that NBA players had to come to watch for themselves. These players included Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and of course, LeBron James. Big names in the league, both at the time and now, who had just come to watch a kid play but had no idea how this kid would impact their legacies and success levels in the league. For Steph, all was good. He made it from a mid-major school and had proven that he could play in the league. And although he faced some adversity early in his career with ankle injuries, struggles to fit into the team at the time with another scoring point guard in Monta Ellis, many NBA vets and stars were high on Curry's abilities. Chris Paul, LeBron, KD, Kobe, and many other NBA elites acknowledged just how great of a player he was. He was like the little brother to them, a kid who showed flashes of greatness that they welcomed under their wing for mentorship. Even Steph looked up to these guys. Chris Paul was one of his mentors before he came to the league and after he got there. And Curry even mentioned that playing against LeBron as a rookie challenged him to chase greatness in his own basketball career.
Well, I was actually watching my first game I played against LeBron my rookie year and thinking like from that moment to 2015 when we played him in the NBA championship or the NBA finals that first time, like I just wanted to be great because I saw greatness ahead of me. And you play against them, you get exposed, you learn, you keep growing, you fail, you keep growing. And eventually, for me, we get to the top.
But it's almost as if the love and support Curry was getting from these guys was only guaranteed when they were beating him and when they were better than him. Not when he was a threat to their position as the best point guard or when he was interfering in their way to a championship. He came from being the little brother they all loved to being an irritating kid, like an actual little brother. I'd feel bad about saying that if my brother actually watched my videos, but he doesn't, but just in case, I'm joking, bro. But why did the attitude change though? It's because of the same reason why I called him the NBA's little brother. Steph doesn't fit your typical description of an NBA player, and if he does, then he's probably the one who altered your view of NBA players at some point. In the past, when I thought of an NBA player, I thought of someone like Montrezl Harrell, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe my view is a bit stereotypical, but I think you get what I'm saying. When Curry first arrived in the league, it seemed like a standard for your NBA stars to be a tough, strong, maybe huge player because it's a man's league. Remember, the NBA, no boys allowed? But then came this skinny, baby-faced kid whose playstyle wasn't physical, who wasn't extremely tall, whose pre-draft scouting report had him being a role player, and this kid was coming for the necks of all the top dogs in the league. Players who were in the league for a very long time, who are household names, suddenly had Steph in their rearview mirror. Not even Steph knew what he was about to do to the game of basketball. He was paired with another incredible shooter in Klay Thompson, and with the small ball system that was emphasized by Coach Carr, he went on to revolutionize basketball. Teams were not used to high volume shooting, but the Warriors did it anyway, and it was proving how physical defense wasn't as effective when you could shoot like Steph and Klay. Steph specifically displayed a rare skill of shooting off the dribble, which was paired with the ability to move without the ball, which freed him up for open shots that he could make with just a little bit of daylight due to his fast release. To put it simply, the league had never seen anything like it.
Earlier this week on The Breakfast Club, he spoke about how some players in the league aren't huge fans of Steph Curry. He said, quote, "You know where I see it the most, the hate on Steph? It's across the league, the other players. Some of the older players hate that he came in and took their shine. They hate it." So Iggy says older players hate on Steph, BS or real talk?
Real, for me.
Ooh, all right, why?
I've seen it.
Chris Paul was Steph's mentor since way before he was in the league. Around 2015, Paul was regarded by many as the best point guard in the league, and in his previous meetings with Steph, he had managed to beat him and have the upper hand. But things began to change. Not only did Steph, along with the Warriors, beat him and the Clippers on their way to the finals, but there were some people who were beginning to think of Steph as the best point guard in the league. Something that didn't sit right with Paul. And their meetings were also becoming a bit embarrassing for CP3.
Chris Paul takes it out under the basket and suddenly goes 2 times behind his back to leave Paul.
Curry all pretty fake, pulls up. There. Curry splits the defense behind the back, fires a three.
There's no bad blood between the two, but it was clear Chris Paul wasn't too happy about it, because he can be salty towards Steph from time to time, but I'm sure he'll just shake it off. Then we have LeBron. LeBron gets criticized a lot for his 6 losses in the finals. But perhaps that record wouldn't be so bad if Steph hadn't been in his way for 3 of those 6 losses. During the peak of the Warriors dynasty, it was clear that LeBron had become a little threatened by Steph. The same kid he was watching in college and calling cold for crossing up his point guard was now being referred to by some people as the best player in the NBA, was selling more jerseys than him, winning more games, making more headlines, and so on. And on several occasions, when asked about Steph, LeBron had to refer to his own greatness as if he was reminding people of who he was.
How do you slow him down?
The same way you slow me down. You can't.
Do you feel a lot less pressure this finals run just because you are undermanned and you had some injuries as opposed to previous years?
Nah, I feel confident because I'm the best player in the world. That's simple.
LeBron was now the underdog, but clearly didn't like it.
What are fair expectations going forward? Do you feel like you guys are underdogs? I mean, how do you look at it?
Huh? Underdog?
Well, right.
Me?
I don't think so. But
me either. I would never be an underdog.
And I guess that's because Steph had always been the underdog. Steph's career also changed the trajectory of KD's career. One could argue that if Steph had never played in the league, KD probably wouldn't be a 2-time champ right now. Steph Curry's success affected the success of many other players in their pursuit of a championship. We've talked about players like KD who earned a championship from it, LeBron who missed out on some rings, and CP3 who couldn't win one. But there's other guys like Blake Griffin and Westbrook who missed out on opportunities at championships because of the timing of Steph's explosion. And then we have other players like Draymond who actually got a ring from Steph's success. No, I'm playing. On the business side of the game, Steph once again did big things while taking an unusual route. That's Under Armour. When Steph left Nike for Under Armour, the sales in Under Armour boosted by over 300% in his first MVP season, and fast forward to 2020, the Curry brand is a real thing. A separate brand on its own, owned by Steph Curry, that's partnered up with Under Armour, just how Jordan has his own brand affiliated with Nike. And Steph is the second player in NBA history to do this. The only other player is Michael Jordan, unless you count the Big Baller brand, of course. Steph also hasn't forgotten where he came from. The overlooked kid who became an NBA star is now also looking out for other unranked and underlooked players in a program he created that specifically focuses on them and helping them find basketball opportunities, reminding us never to forget where we came from, because you can make it from an uncomfortable situation and you can help those like you reach their full potential as well. He's done a lot more philanthropic work, like funding Howard University to resume a golf team. He has helped in the fight against malaria in different African countries, and probably much more we don't know about. And I'll just say that this man never ceases to inspire me.
Look at Curry, man, just wide open and inspirational. Yes, sir.